So while the Buffalo Bills bring back a familiar face, Tre'Davious White is back on the roster. Now, again, this is a very polarizing move because the fan base is pretty much split. Half of the fan base is acting like they're coming out of pocket for this conversation or slash this transaction for the team. And then others are just like, oh, yeah, nostalgia. I love Tre, man. Like his goalie academy like really made me smile. I'm so happy that he's coming back to win a quote unquote ring. I got to tell you, I think about this Tre'Davious White transaction as first off a quality depth move. I do understand, right, that he had a downward spiral of his career when he unfortunately ended up dealing with a variety of injuries, right? And several people in my X mentions were saying, oh, I really preferred that we were to just bring in James Bradberry. However, like really when you look at it, Tre White is actually coming off of one full healthy season, and James Bradberry is coming off of recently tearing a pretty significant, I wanted to say, it was an Achilles. That's right. And so I was very close to saying an ACL, but an Achilles tear by itself. I like this move for Buffalo. I am not going to lie to you. And for people freaking out, I don't want to sit here and curb your expectations to believe that I think Buffalo brought him in to actually be CB2. No, not at all, man. Half of the reason why we had a conversation about why I thought bringing in James Bradberry for at least a discovery meeting to see how he was coming along in his recovery process was brilliant. Because when you look and dissect what has been the issue with Buffalo in the past, doesn't have anything to do with our starters, really, right? Like on paper, on the defensive side of the football, on the offensive side of the football, when our starters are fully healthy in any which game, we are going out there and we are producing at a very, very high level. But a trend for Buffalo for the past couple of years is when, unfortunately, we hit the injury bug at the absolute worst time possible. Our depth cannot end up living up to expectations. Now, are we not confident that Tre White is ever going to be the same Tre White that he was when we first drafted him? No, and we shouldn't be, right? I don't believe that he will. However, how much worse could he be than Rasul Douglas last year? How much worse could he be from Rasul Douglas? So many times we like saying, hey, like this Buffalo Bills defense, yes, we had our struggles in stopping third down conversions. Yes, we had our struggles giving up a lot of points or giving up a lot of rush yards, what have you. I feel like we can find an enemy for really any game example. But for a team that led the league in turnover differential last year, and Rasul Douglas did not contribute a single turnover to that campaign, how much worse, right? And again, yes, Tre White, yes, he was not the same after he came back. He did not look good for the LA Rams. Had some splashes on film for the Baltimore Ravens, surprisingly enough. Definitely go check out Kevin Masari on X. He pointed out a couple of film examples last year, which at least showed flashes of what Tre used to be while he was taking some reps over in Baltimore last year. But I'm not sure about you guys, but last year, say that we had Tre White and he had to come in and back up Christian Benford rather than Kyer Elam, I'd probably feel a bit more comfortable than that. I'm a little bit more comfortable with Tre White than Dane Jackson. I'm not going to lie to you there either. And the fact when it comes into his contract, right? 1 year, $6.8 million. And a term that people often overlook and something that I really want people to pay attention, especially when it comes into wording of specific reports. When you see a 1 year up to $6.8 million, up to is the vernacular that I'm trying to point out to you specifically. That means it's largely tied in with incentives. Largely tied in with incentives. I have not seen the specifics of said contract as of yet. Say, for example, that I see that a vast majority of it was guaranteed, then we could be having a different conversation. But based off of assumptions, I could only assume that the vast majority of this is tied up within specific escalators, things that I think that he needs to achieve, like holding a quarterback specifically when it comes into targets to a specific passer rating and or a completion percentage and or interceptions or pass breakups, many elevators and escalators that he would need to hit in order to hit that full $6.8 million. I'm fine with Tre White being an insurance policy. And hell, I'm fine with Tre White going out there and starting as CB2 for the first couple of weeks as Sean McDermott ultimately ends up ramping up whatever rookie we end up drafting in the NFL draft. So all in all, again, I feel like I'm right in the middle of this. Like people that are all pissed off and saying, oh my God, Brandon Beane, what the hell is he doing? He's the longest tenured GM in Buffalo Bills franchise history. He's probably one of the best GMs when it comes into cap management. He has had several incredible free agent signing / acquisitions. While he hasn't necessarily hit on a first round pick in quite some time, he's typically a absolute killer, a mauler right within the mid rounds of the draft. Like Beane knows what he's doing, right? He really, really knows what he is doing. How many of us were wanting to punch a hole through the wall last year when we signed Matt Collins, right? Guarantee you 90% of the people that were complaining about that were begging that he would come back rather than signing with the New England Patriots. So Beane's playing chess and everybody else is playing checkers. And why I say that largely has to do with the strategy going into next week for the NFL draft. Less than a week away. Next Thursday, folks, we start to get some answers. Where are the Buffalo Bills' true priorities? And I think once we end up reflecting back on the free agency that we have had this offseason, I think we're getting some signs and some exciting signs that I know that a lot of us are going to have a giant smile on our face and feeling as optimistic as ever going into the 2025 season. And let me tell you this strategy. But first, I want to welcome everybody in here. Thank you. I hope everyone is having a wonderful Friday morning, April 18th, folks. My name is Dan Mitchell. In case you are new here, I am the host of the Don Mafia Report, a Buffalo Bills podcast, a daily podcast in which that I go live Monday through Friday. Man, say, for example, you're enjoying it, guys. Please do me a favor and just hit that thumbs up sign for me. It helps propel it out to the YouTube algorithm where more people that perhaps want to talk ball early in the morning while they're enjoying their cup of coffee can discover. And we could also build on into this live chat community. When you subscribe, please do me a favor and turn on those bell notifications. As you'll probably learn once you start tuning in to several of my episodes, I discuss the topic at hand for about 15 to 20 minutes. And then the rest of the show is completely driven by my live chat. That is right, a Q&A segment where I end up engaging with everybody in the chat. And they end up taking control of the conversation, and they go from there. All right. But anyway, I do want to go on ahead and lock into this real fast. All right. So what exactly did this offseason look like for the Buffalo Bills, and why do I think that it's spelling out exactly where Buffalo is going to go in the draft? And it all starts with positions of need, right? You ask anybody in Bills Mafia, what are the positions of need in the draft? Like, what needs to be addressed, bar none? A lot of people are going to say defensive tackle. Several are going to say CB2. Small sections are going to say edge rusher. Some are going to say safety. Some are going to say wide receiver. It just depends on who you ask. And everybody is equally passionate behind those positions. It's just how it is. That's the beauty of football fandom, man. We have a variety of takes, if you will. And you look at all of those positions, and I cannot think of a single position that was not addressed in free agency. Now, are these starting caliber players? Not particularly. But again, rewinding back to the beginning of this episode where we pointed out the biggest issue with Buffalo is that, damn, our depth is absolutely atrocious when it comes into some specific groups, right? Depth has been addressed this free agency. A couple of starters entwined, right? Like a Joshua Palmer and a Joey Bosa are clearly starters. But a Larry Ogunjobi, that's a rotational defensive tackle. A Michael Hoyt, that's a rotational guy as well. It's quality depth. A Tre'Davious White is a depth piece. Dane Jackson is a depth piece. Derek Forrest is a depth piece. A lot of people are high that he could potentially end up winning a starting position. So now depth is addressed rather. That means that Brandon Beane can truly go into this draft class, folks, and take best player available. Literally take best player available. It doesn't need to be a position assigned. It doesn't need to be a position assigned to a specific round. It doesn't need to be, or it no longer needs to be, all right, like no matter what, we have to go defensive tackle, CB2, and wide receiver in that order. Or we need to go CB2, edge rusher, safety in that order. No longer. Like, no longer. It can truly be who is on top of our board at the best possible position. Just have a giant draft board of all the positions of need. Just take the best player available. Who knows, man? Listen, this opens up so many different possibilities for us. It really, really does. We could take a wide receiver if necessary. We could. So we could take a safety if necessary because depth is addressed. Shout out to Brandon Beane. He's throwing curveballs left and right. And dude, I'm excited, man. I am excited. Less than a week away before we start getting some answers. And you know that each and every single one of us, man, we're going to be thrilled because it's just one step closer to the 2025 NFL season. Folks, in case you missed the beginning of the episode, I just want to let you know that we're about to transition over into the Q&A segment. With each and every single episode, as many of you know, I speak for the first 10 to 15 minutes, and then I end up going over to my live chat where they take control of the conversation. So when you begin filing in your questions and or statements, please do me a favor and begin each question with a Q dash followed by your question so I could easily decipher between everything that is coming on, just making it a nice and organized experience so everybody viewing can indeed enjoy. I do need to give a giant shout out to today's sponsor, and that just so happens to be William Mattar. Folks, if you were ever hurt in a car, you got to call William Mattar, #1 car accident attorney in the state of New York. I would never wish this on anybody, but it does happen. A fender bender, a T-bone, what have you. If you unfortunately end up suffering an injury, it's very important to have the right representation so you could be made whole again. Look no further than our friend, William Mattar. Shout out, William. I sincerely appreciate you for being a proud partner of this channel in the 2025 saga of the Buffalo Bills and the Don Mafia Report. And without further ado, let's get into the question and answer segment. Again, guys, if anybody has any questions, please begin your statement with a Q and a dash. Let's lock in. Mikey is saying, I got to go soon, but with the Tre signing, I think it's an indicator that a defensive tackle in round 1 is more likely to happen. You look at so the roster based off of free agency acquisitions. And again, like I said, we've positioned ourselves very well to truly take the best player available. I still think that we're going for starters in this draft. And just because a guy is a first-round prospect does not mean that he's going to be a starter. And just because somebody is in the 4th round does not mean that they are not going to be a starter. Largely, a lot of people just go out there and they helmet scout, right? Like they're just like, oh my God, he went to LSU. He's automatically going to be good. Not necessarily. Like you're seeing prospects out there at smaller schools that turn into absolute dogs. A prime example has to be Duggar. He's the safety out of the New England Patriots. He's crazy. Like he ended up getting drafted significantly higher. I think if any position is still of need, it would be defensive tackle just because we had 2 guys that were brought in from free agency that are ultimately suspended for a couple of games due to performance-enhancing drugs. So I could still see where you're coming from. And I could see the Buffalo Bills still prioritizing a one-tech defensive tackle, but really at the end of the day, like how we have built our team in free agency from a depth perspective, I really don't think that I would be pissed off at any specific selection based off of anywhere across the board, unless we did something like stupid, right? Like say we went with a running back in the 1st round. I think that would probably still piss me off. Or say, for example, we ended up going like with a linebacker, for example. I think that would still piss me off. But now, say, for example, we went a wide receiver or a defensive tackle or a CB2 or a wide receiver or a safety. right, I probably wouldn't be pissed anymore, because one of the biggest issues I have seen, one of the biggest issues that I have seen, has had to be depth from this. And depth obviously has been addressed, and I could not be more thrilled. Shout out to Carl, who's coming in with a statement, $5 donation as well. I appreciate that. Guys, again, please take after Carl and with everybody that has been sending in questions. All right. Say, for example, you have a question for me. Please begin the sentence with a Q and a dash so I can easily decipher and make this a solid listening/watching experience for everybody watching the replay and or listening on podcast situations. Carl is coming in saying, I am super happy to have my favorite player, Tre'Davious White, back in the Bills. It's time to dust off the 27 jersey. They will draft a cornerback, though. Yeah, again, you know what I mean? He's an insurance policy. And for those of you that are upset and acting like you're coming out of pocket to pay Tre White right now, pay attention to wording, like rate of contracts, right? Like a 1 year up to $6.8 million is typically a tall sign that a lot of it is attached to specific escalators, and him earning anywhere close to that would have to be him having a Tre White-esque season. I haven't seen the escalators. I haven't seen the specifics of the contract. Granted, I just got back from the gym and I haven't really done a lot of research to see if those specifics have been launched, but more than likely a lot of his escalators would be sort of the concrete metrics of pass breakups or interceptions, or sort of how many snaps he's going to have each and every single game. So all in all, solid signing, if you were to ask me. Matthew is coming in saying, Danny Boy Pookie, why the F did they put the draft and my Tampa Bay Lightning playoff game on in the same night? Also, I would not be shocked if Sanders falls out of the first round like Will Levis. Man, you know what? That is one of the beauties of having your laptop on the playoff game and the draft on the big screen, and or vice versa, man. Listen, take advantage of this, and we will see. We have Cheeto and Netflix. He's throwing out that William Matar. He's throwing out that William Matar phone number, and I can appreciate that. Man. We are going to like it. And Dwayne is reminding everybody to hit that like button, or he is going to whip out his size 12 boot. We don't want that, folks. We do not want that, I can assure you. All right, so guys, say, for example, you're enjoying the show. Just do me a favor and hit that thumbs up sign. Helps me out. I really don't think that there's any reason why we can't surpass 150 like buttons today, as Dwayne comes in with a $5 super chat. Dwayne, you know that you don't need to be sending me in super chats, man. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And shout out to Dwayne, and shout out to all my mods in here, including my boy Jesse. What's going on? Mike Green is typically in here keeping the peace as well. I appreciate that. We have a question. Seriously, Dan, would you be horribly upset if 75% of what Tre was ends up being our 2CB? I think Tre wants to prove something and balls. Here's the deal, right? Like so I want a CB2, right? Like that is certainly a necessity for us, but I think like the absolute desperation of needing a CB2 has kind of been a bit sort of overflated, right? Like people were just like, oh my God, we need a CB2. Like this defense by itself excelled in turnover differential last year. And the CB2 that we're so desperate to replace did not contribute a single turnover to this defense, right? Like sure, did Rasul Douglas like struggle, like was not the same as far as coverage. He was getting burned a lot for sure. But all in all, like Tre White starting opposite of Christian Benford, I don't think moves the needle in either direction from whether or not that Rasul Douglas was in there in the first place. I still think that we're drafting a corner. In fact, I do think that we will draft a corner within the first 3 rounds, right? Now that we've ended up building, especially within free agency, to address depth, I think now we can just go best player available starter. But no, not at all. I feel fantastic about him being on the depth chart. If, for example, one of our starters ends up going down, or say our rookie is not necessarily living up to expectations, is not developing the way this coaching staff would like him to develop. Yeah, dude, listen, man. And plus, dude, I'm not sure about you guys, but I do like Tre White a lot more than Dane Jackson. And so I like Tre White more than Jamarcus Ingram. It's kind of where we're at right now. It's kind of where we're at, baby. Last Second Sports, Jesse has come in. Talk to me. White used to be that deal. I remember when Ayuk was a rookie and routed up White. I knew at that moment that Ayuk would be good because I respected White so much. Sad to watch his decline. Yeah, for real, man. Like, he struggled in LA. Like, he was benched at one point and then traded over to Baltimore. It's my buddy Kevin, who is on X, and y'all can find him on X. He put out a couple of examples where he did look similar to what he was back in his prime in a couple of reps over in Baltimore. So I suppose we can remain optimistic about it. But yeah, it's sad, man. It is absolutely sad. Walking in Faith with Jacob. What's up, man? Yo, Dan, it's good to catch you live again. Absolutely, man. Hope all is well. Hope all is well. We have Daddy B has come in and saying statement/question. Thank you so much. Guys, remember, if you have a question, please label it with a Q dash so we can get into this. Statement/question. Don't believe we will go CB in round one. Seems like a deep class this year. What are you feeling in the first? Man, you know what? It's interesting to me, right? Because so I'm looking at our draft board and I'm looking at our priority list based off of certain positions that we addressed this offseason, right? We did address defensive tackle in free agency this year with somebody who I think is very serviceable, somebody who I think that would rotate perfectly with Daquan Jones. And I'm not completely writing off the possibility that Daquan Jones could potentially be a guy that has moved on from either during the draft or slightly afterwards, since he's on the final year of his contract. However, say that that's not the case because Buffalo hasn't done that in quite some time, then we're probably still looking at Daquan Jones being the guy this year, at least dominating the vast majority of the snap share. I'd probably still say defensive tackle would be one, especially since Ogunjobi and Michael Hoyt are suspended for a couple of games this season, because I think we're looking to draft day one starters, or at least as close as you possibly can go there. CB2 could still be an option, man. Like say, for example, Kenneth Grant is gone, who I think is the only player that I would 100% feel comfortable with taking in the first round. I could make an argument with Tyleik Williams. I would still believe that would be kind of a reach. If Tyleik Williams was the guy we wanted and it came time to pick 30, I think I would almost prefer to trade down and select him at 35, 36, and then trade up again right in the fourth to grab a corner. But I feel like I'm more so still at the defensive tackle, but I think that's going to have to be where we're at. We have Arthur Kraft has come in with a question. Arthur, I appreciate that. He's saying, is Tre in danger of playing the Elam role? If he isn't starting, he isn't active on game day. Dane can play special teams, so would likely be so ahead of him. It's interesting, right? It's definitely interesting. I'm going to have to see how he performs in training camp, sort of like by himself. If anybody is in danger, I wouldn't even necessarily say that it was Tre. I would say it would be more an Ingram sort of situation, especially say that we bring in CB2. But that's going to be exciting, right? Because we're not going to really have a concrete answer or really be able to give our educated takes until we start getting news and tidbits from rookie mini camps, from mandatory mini camps going into training camp. And this is far too early because one of my favorite times of the season is when we start speculating on who's going to make the 53-man roster, who's getting cut, who is going to be the training camp darling and find a way onto the roster. Speaking from experience, I think Ingram is going to be one of the oddballs out. But anything can happen. For all we know, we'll see. Ward Sampson. Revel is injured, might not be available, but do we bring him in for a visit? Where do you think we would draft him? Ward Sampson, let me tell you what. He is, bar none, my favorite cornerback prospect in this draft. Bar none, he would have been CB1 in this draft if he did not tear his ACL last year. I wholeheartedly believe that. And I wholeheartedly believe 5 years down the road, when we reflect on this cornerback class, and we are like asking, like, okay, who was the best talent to come out of this draft? It's going to be Siobhan Revel. It's a hot take. I'm standing on business. It's going to be him. And no disrespect to Will Johnson and no disrespect to Jahdae Barron. Like, both of them, I think, are going to have solid careers. But when you're looking at the time where this corner class is set to be paid their second contracts, Revel is going to be the household name. Revel, surprisingly, I think we could probably get him in, I'd say, the early second. I wouldn't be pissed say that he was our first round selection either. And yes, he would start the season off with the pup or on the pup list, but what's the rush? What's the rush of having this dude out there week one? Right? Like, we addressed our depth situation. We're cool with that. Luckily, when it comes into our linebackers, both of them excel in coverage. You have Taron Johnson as your slot corner on the outside. You have Benford, who is stellar in coverage. Say that we have to go out there and roll with Tre White as CB2 for the first couple of weeks while we wait for Siobhan Revel to ramp up. That's a move right there. Like, that's going to be a player for this squad. So Revel, more than likely in early second. In early second is kind of where I am at. All right. We have Moshe has come in and saying, what happened to Ingram after he picked off Tua twice in a game? One for a touchdown. He was just never higher up on the draft class. Question, Gary, what's up? Why did Elam play over Ingram last season? He looked good with his limited time. It's a tough question, man. Sometimes I wish that I was a bug inside of the locker room so I could have some of these sort of question marks. Like, here's my theory, right? Like, why Elam was activated during that AFC Championship game. He excels in, like, man coverage, I guess. He's reasonably fast too. So I think what was going through McDermott's mind was just like, okay, like, you were known for your man coverage in college. That's where you're most comfortable with. Maybe we throw you out there. Maybe you'll have something to say with some of the undersized wide receivers. I really think that it was a scheme decision on a game-by-game basis. Some games you saw Ingram activated. Sometimes you saw Elam activated, really just depending on the type of wide receiver room that anybody was going up against. That's not a fact. That's just, that's my best guess, Gary. That's my best guess is that we thought that it was a scheme fit, like, based off of the wide receiver core that we were going up against at the time. I'm not even that sure. Dan wants to be a fly on the wall. Yes, sir. Always, baby. You already know what I'm talking about. We have Jonas Burris is coming with a question. The people want to know, how's the baseball season going? Won a tournament 2 weeks ago in Tallahassee, Florida, baby. Won a tournament 2 weeks ago, came in second place on the tournament before that. It was pretty solid. As an assistant coach, it feels really, really good. Love hanging out with the boys every now and again. Unfortunately, I can't make it to as many games as I would like, but I am still out there as often as I can to help get these guys ramped up on practice on Thursday evenings, baby. But it is great. In case anybody does not know, I actually have a little bit of time where I help out my nephew's travel baseball team. And, dude, I love it. Oh, man, I love it, dude. I love it. We have Condor has come in. Hey, Dan. And regarding Desmond Watson out of Florida, where does the big boy go and what round? Holy hell. He's almost 500 pounds. Bills could initiate the 155 defense. So I'll be honest with you, man. Like, he would be the heaviest NFL player ever drafted ever. And I don't necessarily think that GMs and NFL organizations think that is as cool as we do, right? Like, yeah, like, on paper, we're just like, hell yeah, dude. That's a big body, brother, right? Like, that's a big body. Like, we need that. I think what goes through a lot of GMs' heads is that, like, okay, he's 500 pounds. Is he healthy? Right? Like, what's his conditioning like? Is he going to be a guy that we can only throw out there, like 2 to 3 snaps per drive? Or is he the kind of guy that's going to go out there and be gassed by the third snap each and every single time? I could be wrong. I think that he's going to go in the 7th round, to be honest with you. I do not see him going higher than the 6th, because while his size is crazy, I think you also need to account for the fact that, okay, like, while size is cool, is this guy going to get gassed after 3 snaps? right? So I think that's kind of half of the reason why people are kind of afraid. If you're looking for somebody that has upside, that has size, that's not quite 500 pounds, but somebody that I think is interesting is Deon Walker. He's out of Kentucky. He's about 330, 340. And last year, he evidently was playing with a back injury. I wouldn't want him to be the first defensive tackle we brought in, but I would be fine if we walked away with a Tyleik Williams and a Kenneth Grant early in the draft and then double dipped at the position for Deon Walker after the fact. But yeah, dude, listen, Watson, stud, but I feel like a lot of NFL organizations will be concerned about his conditioning. Derek has come in saying, I think our best bet is to trade up in the first round and trade up in the second round to get 2 impact starters. I don't care what positions, just get some people that can play and be reliable. Yeah, man, for sure. We will see what's going on. Like, there are so many strategies. We could trade up slightly to 24. We could technically trade all the way up to like 19, where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were. And we could really end up going for a player. But again, just because somebody is selected in the first round doesn't always necessarily mean that they're going to be a day one impact player, as much as it means that just because someone's selected in the 5th round does not mean that they are just going to be quality depth, right? Like, we see it each and every single year, even with our own favorite team, which is pretty crazy. We have, I would love to know Watson's RAS score. All right, dude. Right before I make any assumptions. Yeah, right before I make any assumptions, I'm going to look it up. Oh my God. All right, chat. Guess what Watson's RAS score is? Oh no. All right. Let's do it. You guys ready? You guys ready? 1.45. 1.45. You know, he's 6'6", 484 pounds. His bench press is 30. His explosion rate is poor. His vertical is 1.72 inches. Oh, no, never mind. It's 25. My bad. His broad jump is very poor. His 40-yard dash, 5.95. 20-yard split that. His shuttle, yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. I think that dude needs to drop the poundage. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of my thought process. His RAS score is 1.5. That is insane. All right. And so can you check out Watson's grades? I am curious. His RAS score is there, right? If like we're trying to look at Watson, say that we're trying to go with his PFF scores, I suppose. Let me see. He had 0 sacks last year. He had 0 hits. He had 5 hurries. His run defense is at 80.1. That's specifically when it comes into, yeah. So guys that are significantly smaller than him, several of them are up into the 90s. Like, for example, like a Kenneth Grant is significantly higher. A Walter Nolan's at like 91. So he doesn't really bring much to the table. And so outside of just being the biggest ever, right? Like, he would be like he'd be like a world record book type of player, but that would be about it, right? Like maybe some like cute social media videos or something like that, right? Some feel good social media videos around Christmas time or something with him with like a 3-year-old looking like a damn skyscraper to an ant or something. But that's really all I think that he would bring to the Buffalo Bills, to be honest with you. A guy who is 400 plus pounds should get extra points just for being able to run 40 yards for sure. So the fact that he finished the 40-yard dash is also something that's crazy. And that would be so a reasonable and articulated suspicion. Look at that, dude. Oh man. We have Charles has come on in and said, Dan, Which do you think would be more important in the draft, wide receiver or running back? Also, I have had Marvelous the Hammer in an acrylic case sitting on a Bible until the first game starts. Charles, listen, man, he made a Thor hammer completely dedicated to the Buffalo Bills. I need him, dude, I need you to make another one and send it to me. I need that. All right, bro. We can have a conversation offline about it, but I would love to have one for the season as well. It's going to be wide receiver for me, right? Because right now I think we only have 4 wide receivers that are close to starting, right? And typically we take 6. And there was a guy in here yesterday that kept trying to tell me that there was only 5 wide receivers for the Buffalo Bills, and that is the trend. And he was trying to tell me, he's like, oh, well, I actually do research. What are you talking about? And it turns out that I was correct. In 2019, 6 wide receivers: John Brown, Cole Beasley, Zay Jones, Robert Foster, Andre Roberts, Isaiah McKenzie. 2020, 6 wide receivers: Stephon Diggs, John Brown, Cole Beasley, Gabriel Davis, Isaiah McKenzie, Isaiah Hodgins. 2021, 7: Stephon Diggs, Emmanuel Sanders, Cole Beasley, Gabriel Davis, Isaiah McKenzie, Marquez Stevenson, Jake Kumaro. Damn. 2022, 7 wide receivers: Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, Isaiah McKenzie, Jamison Crowder, Khalil Shakir, James Kumaro, Marquez Stevenson. 2023, 6 receivers: Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, Deontay Hardy, Khalil Shakir, Trent Sherfield, and Justin Shorter, who was added to the IR, hence where the confusion was with 5. And last year, we started off with 5, but then we ultimately ended up making a trade for Amari Cooper, making it 6. Damn, bro. Don't question me. Don't question me, folks. Damn. No. But so I'd say wide receiver. Is probably going to be something that would be a way larger need for us, right? I don't necessarily see a reason to draft a running back, especially if James Cook is still on this roster. I suppose anything could happen. But if James Cook is still on the roster, then we're just drafting a running back to be placed on the practice squad. And what's the point of that, if you were to ask me? We got Bill 716 has come in with a statement here. My prediction is Beane trades back to 33 and drafts Revel. I would be very happy about this. Then trades up to select Tyleik Williams at 41. Then Shamar Stewart at 56. Shamar Stewart, edge rusher. I do like Shamar Stewart. And I do have his dad's number because I ultimately ended up meeting the young man at the Senior Bowl, and then I hit him up about the show. So maybe if he gets drafted, make it happen. All right, we have Charles. All right, we already answered that question. We have John Paul O'Keefe is coming. What if the Bills draft a tight end and possibly move off of Kincaid? What tight end would we want? Would we be available? So I think with the tight end, so I feel like that there's too many question marks around that because Dalton Kincaid had an incredible rookie season. Last year, he had a slight drop-off, but he had chemistry issues with Josh Allen, and he was also playing through an injury for half of the season. So I don't think that Buffalo is moving off of Dalton Kincaid yet, right? Like, he was a first-rounder, so he has 4 years, perhaps a fifth-year option. I don't see a tight end being a move specifically. I think that. All right, we have a question. Say Grant and Harmon are gone. I've seen Donovan Ezeruku is there. Do we grab him with our pick 30? I like Ezeruku a lot. Yes, I would also be happy with a Donovan Ezeruku. Kyle has come in saying, I still don't think you could take that mountain lion. All right. So like y'all, all right, dude. So like y'all were asking me questions, right? And like one day, like for some reason, I have been like obsessed with this one podcast, like on the internet, where it's literally just 2 dudes. And they're just like, who would win in a battle? The biggest of the big Timberwolf or the biggest of the big Wolverine? And like, that's all the podcast is. It's just like, who would win in like these nature battles? And some of the questions are just like, what's the biggest of the big animal that you think that you could defeat with your bare hands? So I was interested and I took to X and I said, all right, guys, quick question. What is the largest animal that you think that you could actually take out with your hands. And I said a mountain lion, and people were just like, oh my God, you're crazy, right? Like, you're absolutely insane. A mountain lion? And they're like, no, like, it's going to stalk you. Like, no, bro. Like, I'm talking like a cage, like an octagon. I see it coming. It knows I'm coming. But then I started thinking about it, and I was just like, it's a damn mountain lion. So I have actually thought, I think the biggest animal that I could probably take out. Damn, this is tough. And so I could definitely take out a coyote with my bare hands. So I feel that. Definitely a coyote. I could take out a bobcat with my bare hands. No, actually, I think I could still do. In fact, I think I could still do cage match mountain lion. That's just me being an idiot. Sound off in the chat and let me know. Let me know what the largest animal on the planet that you are confident that you could take out with your bare hands. Let me know. And so the one thing is too, right? Like, mountain lions are typically like what, like 120, 130 pounds, right? So like, I have the weight advantage. But then they have those back claws too, man. Those back claws are what get you. Like razor sharp teeth, man. They're agile. Just like, just headlock that bitch. You know what I'm saying? Fucking like, fucking choke it out or some shit, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Sound off in the chat. Sound off in the chat and let us know what was the biggest animal that you think you could take out with your bare hands. Dude, and so I live in Colorado, and you definitely do not want to mess with a mountain lion. Yeah, dude. Like, I wouldn't go out there, like, looking for a fight, but, say that it came into it. You would get destroyed. Yeah, probably. Bobcat, though, I would wreck that fool. I can take out Dan, point, set, match. I'm just kidding, Dwayne. What's up, man? What's up? Dan, if the Bills win the Super Bowl, you will fight a mountain lion in real life. I'm good, man. I'm good. A kangaroo, dude, those kangaroos are for real. Those dudes are like jacked. Yeah, I've seen it. Dan, no, you can take out at the most a chihuahua. Yeah, Gary, maybe a 300-pound chihuahua, my friend. Chihuahua, my friend. All right, come on now. Statement. And so I live in upstate New York, and I was 2 feet from a bobcat right on the corner of my house. It looked at me, turned its back, and walked away like I was absolutely nothing. And I can take out Bigfoot. Oh my God. All right. Dan, Jalen Knoll from Iowa State. Would you move up in the second for the 5'10 speedster? Many say he can play X. He's good. Yeah, he's really, really good. We saw him at the Senior Bowl, and I do want to say that there is an interview live with Colby when we were able to meet the young man. But he's predominantly slot. And what I think I want to do is I don't want to sort of take on a project player at specific positions, right? Like, same reason why I don't want to take on a corner that ran a lot of man and only sporadically ran a little bit of zone. I kind of want to take scheme fits, and Knoll wouldn't necessarily be a scheme fit because ideally we would want to have a move over to X, in which he doesn't have a lot of experience in. And I think that there would be a learning curve. So I'd probably pass. Hence why I'm really only looking for guys when I look for guys, like, I need to have a massive disproportion to the side of them playing on the X, like right on the outside. We're going to have to say that. Dan, you couldn't take out a pink poodle. Jason, damn, man. Damn, bro. Dan, I sent you that contact info on IG and right on the guy who made me the Bills Thor hammer. Awesome, dude. I appreciate that. I'm going to need one. The Bills are positioning themselves to take Grant and or Higgins. Say, for example, that you were to ask the Bruce exclusive. He is not a Higgins guy. He does not like Higgins. Say, for example, you like Bruce exclusive. He's not a Higgins guy, right? Me? And so, you know what? Like, maybe I'm like way too biased because so clearly y'all know that I'm a big Royals guy and I'm a big Kyle Williams guy. Dan, don't want to corner that run through a lot of men. Say what? All right, anyway. Cage, dude. You'll see him coming, but a quartered animal fights to the death. That's what I'm saying. But I'm an animal too, Tom. I'm an animal too, brother. No, I'm just kidding, bro. I'm just kidding. It's him or me. It's him or me. You know what I mean? I'll fight dirty too. Yeah, that's the problem. And there's not a lot of speed right on the X in this draft this year. There's really not. So it's interesting. Those things will slice you like a velociraptor. Hey, man. Hey, bro. So will I. And so I bite too, bro. So I'll bite that fool's ear. So I'll bite that fool's ear when I got him in a headlock, man. You know what I mean? I'm joking, Dad. You're a beast. Oh, man. Hey, Dad, it's been a while. Let's make this year the year. Wouldn't that be ideal? We have Eric coming in saying, what you want to take down? What animal do you want to fight? So we just got into a conversation earlier about like what's like the largest animal that you think you could realistically take out with your bare hands. In fact, folks, spam it in the chat. What's the largest animal that you think you could take out with your bare hands? Like now, realistically, I'd say a bobcat. Like say it was life or death, I was caged. Yeah. I really don't even know. Z-type, what is every good wide receiver in the draft is a slot? It's been like that for a while. Matthews come in. Dan, and do you think J17 will go back to back MVP also? Wouldn't that be idea? Who would be your top 5 prospects in this year's draft? Ooh. All right. So what's realistically for the Buffalo Bills to draft? Like what's realistic as far as where the board is likely going to fall? I have Kenneth Grant, number 1. Siobhan Revel, number 2. Trey Amos, number 3. 4, Tyleek Williams. 5, Matthew Golden. Those right there. All right, let's go. All right, bro. So we're going off right in the chat, and people are saying, what animal? It's no rules. I am biting back. Absolutely, bro. It's no rules, man. It's fighting to the death. All right, dude. We have Dr. Jekyll, my mother-in-law. And so I got you, Dr. Jekyll, in that fight. To his mom, a honey badger. Those things are fucking vicious. A woodchuck. Rosie O'Donnell. Oh, my God. Okay, we have a beaver. A Carolina Panther, fool. Punch Bob. Yes, sir. There we go. Bob gets the treatment. Hey, Dan. And so I haven't been keeping up with football. Been busy with the NBA. No issue, man. No issue. Welcome back to the show. A chicken jockey. Oh, my God. It would be pretty awesome if J17 would go MVP. Tom is coming in saying, I got it. And so I want a dolphin. Ooh, right in their territory, though? Oh, my God, bro. And so I'm not even sure if, like, I could, like win in the fight with any fish. And so to be honest with you, like, I'm in their an alligator? You are insane. But where's the territory, though? Like, are we talking about on land alligator, or are like you like in his territory, like right in the like swamp and shit? Because like that's tough, dude. Listen, like we need a neutral playing field, right? That's what we need. And the Dolphins are smart as hell too, bro. Like those things would, oh my God. We have Golden first, Royals 2-3. You have Jalen Lane 3-4, Thornton 3-4. Those are some speed wide receivers. Yeah, for sure. We have an alligator. That's tough, bro. That's tough. And so in the Marvel universe, which hero and do you see Josh Allen as? And so I would say he's Thor. It's maybe Iron Man. Yeah, I'd probably say Thor. Because dude is godlike out on the football field. We already know that. Someone said a grizzly bear. Dude, you know what? I can't even hate your confidence. Bro. I will never diminish a man's confidence. If someone comes in here and says, you know what, dude, I could take out a polar bear with my bare hands, I'd be like, oh, I really hope that never comes to fruition and you plan to act on that. But damn, I admire your confidence, man. Listen, dude, that's peak. Man, you know what? Like, I wish everybody in here, like, sincerely, like, I genuinely wish that all of you think so highly of yourselves. I really, really do. Because y'all are awesome. Each and every single one of you. I hope everybody has blind, stupid confidence. Blind, stupid confidence, because I have yet to meet a sad person that has that / demonstrates it. Damn. And so I wish that for all of you. Nah, and I am on land with it. I like it. I like it. Gary says, you were in a clean room, nothing but tidy whities on, and you have to take out a scorpion, and do you think you can do it? So do I have boots on or no? Boots? And so could I use a weapon as well, like a book or something like that, like a dictionary? Or like just like stomp it with my bare foot? Like, what are we looking at? Thanks, Eric. I appreciate that. I am tired of this bull Beane failing Josh once again, signing players that he's not going to get them closer to the Super Bowl. I'd chill a little bit, you know what I mean? Like Tre White for a 1 year up to $6.2 million contract is largely incentives laden. And he was not drafted, meaning that, okay, now that we have Tre White, we're not going to need a corner in the draft at all. Like, we need 90 guys for training camp, right? And Brandon Beane is the longest tenured GM in Buffalo Bills franchise history, right? Like, he's been here for quite some time. And if he was as bad as like some of the fan base believes, he wouldn't still have a job, right? Like, he's fine. Like, so I feel like one of the most dangerous things to think about is that some people think that every single signing means that that person was signed to be a starter, like the top of the depth chart. It's not always the case, man. Like, we need depth too, right? Like, depth is important. And half of the reason we got screwed we got screwed was just because our depth was always ass. And surprisingly enough, I think Tre White's actually quality depth for this team. Let me see. And so I like my odds. So against a scorpion. No boots, no weapon. Oh man, that's tough. Damn, that's tough, man. Shit. No boots, no weapon. Damn, bro. Yeah, I think so. I just pounded on the floor or something like that. You know what I mean? And so I need some scorpion. So the chat is wild today. The chat is wild today. Dan, I smacked a seal with a paddle when I was painting the side of an aircraft carrier. It tried pulling me in the water. It felt like a sack of potatoes. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, bro. So a seal. Leopard seal, different conversation. Those things, bro. And so if you are not a religious person, just look at a damn leopard seal. Like, that is evil incarnated, bro. Like, that is evil incarnated, bro. Where there's darkness, there's light, baby. And a leopard seal came out of the depths of hell, brother. That's what I'm talking about. Would you be happy if the Bills pick Nolan or Harmon instead of Grant? No, because I think both of them are more like true 3 techs, right? And like, we would be asking them to do something that I don't necessarily think is their best possible situation. You just got stung. Oh my God. It's Buffalo's defense that's ultimately failed us a lot of that due to an injury, but it's definitely the defense's fault. Yeah. And the ultimate satisfaction, Bills go and to win a Super Bowl and end the old Highmark Stadium and raise the better next season in the new stadium. That would be a movie. That would be a movie. Hence why I am ready to go. It's a leopard seal would have killed me. Yeah, dude. Dude. So those things are like from the depths of hell. You know what I mean? Like, y'all ever, dude. And so y'all ever hear about them little like parasite fishes, like right in the Nile River, that if someone takes a piss right in the river, it swims up your stream? Son. Talk about my greatest fear. That's my second greatest fear. My biggest fear is that somebody breaks into my house while I'm in the shower and I need to fight them naked. Those are my 2 biggest fears. Number 1, someone breaks into my house, I'm in the shower, and I have to fight them naked. Number 2 is pissing in the Nile River and one of those fish swim up my stream. You know what I'm saying? Like, weird, obscure weird, obscure fears, but here they are. And so I can't take down a cow. Well, it depends where you grow up, my friend. We have Craig is coming in saying, I was just up in Buffalo. I came back to Dallas with 6 pounds of Saleen's hot dogs. Oh, man. So you live in Dallas, huh? Texas forever, brother. Texas forever. I love the state of Texas. I love the state of Texas. We have Condor coming in saying, Dan, Beane is playing chess and the rest of the doo-doo AFC East is still trying to open the chutes and ladders game. Different breeds. We're just built different around here. Baby, we're just built different around here up in Buffalo. I am not really concerned much about the AFC East. So I think the Patriots are on the come up, but I still think they're a second place team. It's going to be tough for them to make the playoffs because a lot of really good divisions this year. So the AFC West is sort of right up on the come up. Same thing with the AFC North. I'm really not seeing two teams from the AFC East making the show. So how are you take down a cow? And so have you ever heard of cow tipping before? Yeah, I was born in Buffalo, but I grew up in the South. Maybe you guys don't know. All right. If the Bills don't get Grant, and do you like Alfred Collins, the 450-pound DT from Florida, is interesting too. So I like Alfred Collins a lot. I do. We were discussing a little bit about Watson. I think his weight is too much of a concern, and his motor, right? So I think he's going to be like a 7th round pick or an undrafted free agent, but I don't necessarily think that being 450 pounds is going to benefit him as much as we think that it is, because as much as size is important, I think conditioning is equally important. We have Jesse has come in saying Tre White making Pro Bowl if he starts, calling it now. Damn, Jesse, dude, I love all of this. Bare hands, bare feet, no weapon, you versus a rattlesnake. Yeah. Yeah, I think I could do it. Bare hands, bare feet, no weapons, you versus a rattlesnake. The thing is, Gary, is that I would probably need to take a bite, right? I'd probably need to take a bite. Say that I can get away without getting bit, then I'd be fine. But like, he'd probably need to strike first, because once he's like latched onto me, that's where I grab that fool's throat and I start giving like the into the king grip. You know what I'm saying? Like, my grip game is crazy. Pause. Just choke that fool out. Yeah, I think so. And do you see any possibility that the Bills draft a different position like Gian Campbell or Shamar Stewart if he fell to us? So linebacker to me is interesting because we run nickel, right? And like, we typically only have 2 linebackers out there in the first place. I'd much rather wait for a linebacker in the later rounds, because that's more of a pick that is wanting to address the future. So right of this team. So I'm not sure how I would feel about Gian Campbell. He's a great player, right? Solid player. But yeah, but Stewart would be good too. Stewart, I would be happy with. Dan, and will you go first home game in the new stadium next season? And so I know tickets will be expensive, but I have to go. It will be the Mecca. I have to go. Yes, sir. I will not miss the home opener for the Buffalo Bills inaugural stadium. All right, we have Amateur Genius is coming with a question. If James Cook does get traded, what is the realistic compensation package that they would get back? Also, would Ray be RB1, or would they look to draft to get a replacement? I think Ray Davis would probably take over the role right now. A realistic draft compensation, although I don't necessarily think it is going to happen. I don't know, like maybe a 3rd, 4th, maybe. I don't think that we get a 2nd or a 1st, especially with how deep this class is. Let's see what else. I'm sitting here crying, man. Grab that thing by the throat. Yeah, like a python, for example. I'm not sure if I'd be able to do a python. Like, those things are crazy. You know what I mean? Like, maybe. Like, I've heard stories about people killing a python with their bare hands. All right? Like, I'm talking like grown-ass men. You know what I mean? It's all about strength. You know what I mean? Just choking that fool out a little bit. But, yeah, I don't know. All right. Waiting for a linebacker in the later rounds, would you be happy with Marlowe Wax the second in the fourth? So I'll be honest with you, Nathan. I have never really been in the position of thinking that Buffalo needs a linebacker. So I'll be completely honest with you. I really have not looked into many prospects. I am unfamiliar with this guy. As long as whatever linebacker that we do bring in, say, for example, his best part of his game is coverage, because that's what I think Sean McDermott typically likes. Like, he prefers linebackers that excel in coverage opposed to being your traditional downhill linebacker. So as long as the dude excels in coverage, or that was the best part of his game, then yeah, sign me up. Sign me up. Cook, Tre White, Shakir, and Jackson for a second-round pick to get Carter and Hunter. Oh, man. Worst case, Trey Day is our CB2, likely CB3 midseason. But dream scenario is he's rehabbed during his minor league season last year, and he's back to doing Trey Day things. Wouldn't that be good? Punch Bob. Gotcha, bro. Gotcha, man. Next, Dan will say that he could take out Godzilla. Who's that? Kyle is saying, what's your opinion on Sean Dolak? He'd be a Buffalo Bill guy. I'm not going to lie to you. He's probably a 7th rounder. He did go to the Buffalo Bills pro day. A lot of us are really high on him. I would feel comfortable going with a linebacker like him in the later rounds. That would certainly make sense. However, have to think about it. So are we okay with Andreessen walking away? Because he's still technically on the squad. And like, we have Dorian Williams, we have Matt Milano, we have Terrell Bernard. So yeah, I don't know. So I think you have to ask yourself that question. No weapons, you versus a horny Bigfoot. Nah, I'm screwed. I'm screwed against Bigfoot, bro. So I'm thinking about Milano's expiring contract and drafting a linebacker this year to get experience for next season. Great at stopping the run and plays well in coverage. Hey, man, listen, if that is the case, then sign me up. I'm going to have to take a look at the guy. It's only right we bring in Demetrius linebacker, friend of the podcast. I will never live that down. Yeah, I will never live that down. Super embarrassing story for anybody that hasn't heard it before. I was at the Senior Bowl a few months ago. I have never had an interview with a player before, so it was my first time ever. He was the first guy I ever interviewed, brought him back. It was Demetrius Knight Jr., and I don't know what it is. Like, I'm not a nervous person, but like, Colby started filming. I was like, ladies and gentlemen, Dan Mitchell from Roundtable Sports here, and I am live with Demetrius linebacker. I forgot his last name. Like an absolute amateur, man. I keep kicking myself in the ass about it, dude. Luckily, he was cool. Yeah, next year I'm about to be an absolute villain. All right, I'm about to be a villain when it comes into it. I've learned from my mistakes. It was embarrassing, but here we are. That video will never see the internet. All right. It will never see the internet. Okay. For the Bills 2025, what do you think their record will be? I'd say about 13 games. Probably. Who would you pick if available? Nick Emanwari or Malachi Starks? Ooh, I'm an Emanwari guy. I love Emanwari. I feel like he's safety one for me, but I would be just as happy with Malachi Starks. So I think Emanwari, he's the better prospect, but I don't think that it's a massive difference. It's not a massive difference at all. Say that I were to put it on a scale, right, as far as how much I like the prospect, like I would have Emanwari at a 10 and I would have Malachi Starks at a 9.5. So I wouldn't be. And so Andreessen is going nowhere. Special teams locked in. I love that. 14. Oh my God. And get him oh man, 15-1 somebody has. 14 wins could be fun. All right, guys. That's going to have to do it for another edition of the Don Mafia Report. I did appreciate walking through the Tre White signing, also the potential, so the draft strategy, and of course, learning what is the biggest animal that you could take out with your bare hands. Great show today, man. Listen, I love it. Guys, reminder, I'm live Monday through Friday. So say, for example, you enjoyed the show today. Please do me a favor. hit that like button. And then also when you subscribe, turn on those bell notifications so you can also be a part of the live chat as well when it does occur. Guys, all of my episodes are on Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well. If any of you guys want to do me a favor, a solid, please go on ahead and hit those links right in my description. If, for example, you want to follow me over there, and if you want to leave a rating and review, that would be super cool. And I will also be dropping audio exclusives probably somewhat soon. So go ahead and do that for me if you vibe with the show. Shout out to my mods. Shout out to everybody that rocks with me on a daily basis. Shout out to everyone that left a super chat. I will see you a bit later for my NFL daily news show called Fourth and Forever on the Roundtable Sports channel. And enjoy your Friday. Peace.